Hi guys, so this is the first episode in my new project for creating a season 10 of Wentworth. This is season 10, episode 1, titled Desperate Measures. At the beginning of this episode, imagine Joan Ferguson is on the run, living homeless. One night, a late dog walker recognizes her as Joan Ferguson, the woman on the run, so she tries to call the police. Joan begs the woman not to, but with no other choice, Joan snaps the woman's neck and flees off into the darkness of the night, struggling between what's right and wrong once again. The next day, Will holds a staff meeting explaining that the women are returning today following the bomb and the explosion. As well as this, the new GM will be around, and a new prisoner named Chrissy Latham will also be arriving, as well as Lou Kelly, who shouldn't be let out of isolation in the slot, no matter what the circumstances. Will then pulls Jake and Vera aside at the end of the meeting and tells them about the dead woman who was found earlier in the morning with a snapped neck. Will is scared that Joan is out and alive, and that she didn't die in the bomb, as the snapping the victim's neck is Joan Ferguson's style, as she's done it before with Iman. Vera reveals that she let Ferguson escape following the bomb and the explosion. This led to Jake and Will beginning to resent Vera. As the prison vans show up at the prison, there are a number of different vans. One just for Lou Kelly, who's to be kept in isolation. One for the new inmate, Chrissy Latham. One for Ali, Boomer, Ruby and Rita, who are still protected due to Rita's status as a cop being announced to the other women, as it's not safe for them to be in general. And then all of the other women are grouped together on another bus. As she arrives in the prison, Jake leads Chrissy Latham to the office to do admin work. It turns out she's on remand for killing a guy. It's revealed that she was a prostitute, and that the guy who was one of her clients had a gun and tried to kill her. She ends up grabbing the gun, and it was self-defense. Now, when Ali, Rita, Ruby and Boomer arrive in the prison, they are instantly put in the new protection unit, which has recently been reopened. And they begin to complain about how boring it is just being alone and isolated, as they've been isolated for months in Blackmore. Jake takes Chrissy Latham to the protection unit and explains that she'll be staying there for a few days until they organise a cell for her in one of the H blocks. Chrissy instantly recognises Ali, and they hug. It turns out that they were both Mari's girls when Mari owned the brothel. Meanwhile, Joan Ferguson makes her way to a public library and manages to hide her appearance. She rushes to a computer, prints off some random maps, and suspiciously just escapes the library before she is recognised. Who knows where these maps will lead? Next, the new general manager walks around with Will and Vera and is impressed with how quickly everything is getting settled. Will asks him if he wants to see the prisoner Lou Kelly, who's in isolation. A look of horror is now visible on the new GM, Steve Faulkner's face. It makes it obvious that he knows who Lou Kelly is. Next, Boomer is taken to the hospital for a baby scan, and Gavin's there to support her. They have a sweet moment where they begin to talk and think about their future raising the child together. Steve Faulkner goes to see Lou Kelly, who is in isolation in the slot. She explains that they hadn't seen each other since their time together in the Right View conversion clinic. Lou threatens Steve and explains that she will tell all of his bosses, his wife and kids, that he's gay, unless he does two things for her. She begins to blackmail him. She wants him to both close the protection unit and let her out into general. Conflicted of what to do, he just leaves without a word. In the protection unit, the new prisoner, Chrissy Latham, asks for a phone call so she can talk to her mother. Linda takes her to the phones when they're isolated and alone. Chrissy picks up the phone, and there is just a man's voice, not her mother. The man is telling her that as soon as she kills Rita Connors, all of her charges will be dropped. It's Officer Jonesy who is awaiting his trial, and he's on release due to bail. He realises that without Rita, they have no case against him. After Boomer returns from her scan, she goes back to her unit and talks to Ali, Rita and Ruby, excited about hearing her baby's heartbeat for the first time. Steve Faulkner, the GM, tells Will to shut down the protection unit and release Luke Kelly into General. Will Jackson obviously refuses, but Steve threatens to fire Will if he goes against him. Now, as we reach the end of the episode, Joan Ferguson is outside a random house. She knocks on the door, and Dr. Miller answers. Joan begs for his help to help contain her urges and to help her escape the country before she is caught. Finally, Linda goes to release Ali, Boomer, Rita and Ruby and Chrissy from the protection unit, and Will releases Luke Kelly from the slot. As they cross paths on the corridor, Luke Kelly smirks at Ali and her crew. Meanwhile, all the other prisoners around are yelling and shouting towards Luke Kelly, Ali, Rita, Boomer and Ruby. No one is safe. Thank you for hearing episode 1. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'd love to hear what you think about the season so far and how it begins. Now, I know not much has happened in it and that it's not as exciting as a normal Wentworth episode, but that is just setting up the story for how the season's going to go. There is going to be a lot of action, a lot of new characters, and no one is safe, as there will be a lot of deaths this season. I would love to hear some of your comments. I would love to see what loads of you guys think about how I think season 10 would shape out. So please let me know in the comment section below what you think. Thank you.